there are two aspects of these negotiations that have really mystified me. One relates to the depth and breadth of European dissatisfaction, discontent, and concern when it comes to investment protections. We can set that aside for the moment. The second thing that has mystified me throughout these negotiations is the attention to which Europe has focused on public procurement as a top priority. Candidly speaking, we've just gotten to know each other, so something for further conversation. I have never really completely understood why the European Union has identified this as such a top offensive priority, but they have. Whether it's because it's a way to demonstrate potential progress for small and medium-sized companies, or whether it's something that is being called for by various member states, I don't know. But it has mystified me because practically speaking, the potential benefits to be gained from greater market access relative to some of the other areas of the negotiation, we think are relatively small by comparison. There is also a debate, a robust debate with plenty of data on either side as to which procurement markets are more open, whether they're more open on the US side than they are on the European side. Depending on which of us you talk to, you'll get a different answer. But practically speaking, I think one of the reasons why Europe has opted to make this a top offensive priority is precisely because they recognize that from a political perspective, this is one of the toughest areas for US negotiators to address. Why is it tough? Because practically speaking, once you get below the federal level of procurement, decisions taken at the state and local and municipal level with respect to procurement are exclusively within the prerogative of those states and municipalities. The federal government cannot dictate to states and municipalities how it is they are supposed to govern their procurement regulations. So to the extent we can see progress in this area, it is bound to be relatively limited. Esther mentioned that there are a number of states that have already signed up to the government procurement agreement under the WTO. There are still a dozen or so that have not. Query whether those states will sign up. They may, but it's not within the purview of the federal government to mandate that they do so. There are, as you all may know, some regulations on the books at the federal level, most notably the Buy American Act and the Jones Act, which are in fact significant restrictions on the procurement of goods and services by the federal government. Candidly speaking, even though we're the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, we have never supported Buy America or Buy American because they represent unnatural and unfortunate artificial restrictions on free flows of goods and services. So for us, seeing Buy America go away, practically speaking, but for those members of our membership who are in the steel sector, that would be okay, because frankly, that would be opening up trade. So I think it's a combination of the political sensitivity on our side and the potential for it becoming something of a benchmark, a litmus test on the European side for how far we can actually go. So I think that's why procurement is tough.
First panel together, I have to disagree with you.
Oh.
I think that's the. I think and I need to make the point. Just to make sure that we are not seeking to abolish Buy American. So this is not what we're trying to do. We have identified ways to ensure that when companies are tendering for projects for contracts here in the U.S., they're treated as the same or on a level playing field as if they were U.S. companies, because this is how U.S. companies are treated in the European Union when they are tendering. We don't make the difference, whether they are European companies or U.S. companies. So we would like the same treatment in the U.S. And I just wanted to make sure, and particularly because they are, representative of, administration, the U.S. administration here. I didn't want you to go home and think, oh my God, they want to get rid of Buy America, and this is just incredible, these Europeans. I just want to make sure. And that's clear, and that's the point is making. And also, and I agree in terms of the states, the sensitivity of states, and obviously the decision making, it's of the state, to whether they want to join the GPA, whether they want to join IFTA, etc. But it is true as well that what we are also trying to tackle is those requirements that are attached to the US to the use of federal funding, so US federal funding, and that's the decisions are made in Washington, not at state level. So just to make the point, and I think as you can see, this is just a reflection of how discussions go on in procurement, on. And I agree as well that there's a disagreement about the figures, about the size of our market, etc. So we could go on and on for days, but yeah. Let's find another subject.